This morning you woke up and at some point you went to your closet to decide what to wear. I bet you chose something that made you feel comfortable and confident. Like armor, what we wear has the ability to make us feel strong, invincible, capable. What we wear matters. Now in your mind, I want you to see all of your clothes and shoes. It's a lot, isn't it? And that's okay, but I want you to ask yourself, am I wearing all of this? Do I really need all those blue shirts? What's in my closet that I haven't worn in 6 months, a year, even years? What if I donated that really nice blue shirt that I've never worn? Could you imagine it being worn by someone else? Maybe a high school student interviewing for an internship that could change their future for the better. According to the National Center for Children in Poverty, there are over 11 million children in the U.S. living below the federal poverty line. And that includes all of the homeless children that they know of. 11 million children. That's more people than live in North Carolina, the 9th most populated state in the country. Now, tomorrow morning, when those 11 million children wake up, and it's time for the K through 12 kids to decide what to wear to school, their choices, if they have any, will be extremely limited. Some of these kids will arrive at school tomorrow wearing clothes they've really outgrown. Too tight, too short, uncomfortable. Some of their shoes will be falling apart. And most of these children will be embarrassed because their clothing looks so bad. This is what is known as clothing insecurity. The organizations that are addressing clothing insecurity in the United States are few and far between. But one of them is right here in Raleigh, North Carolina, where in our school district there are over 50,000 students living in poverty. The organization is called Note in the Pocket, and it was started by a kindergarten teacher named Margaret, who was teaching in a very impoverished school, also known as a Title I school, which are frequently the breeding grounds for generational poverty. Margaret's little kindergartners were under-resourced in a variety of ways. They were hungry, some were homeless or close to it, and their clothes were threadbare and not appropriate for the winter months ahead. That first year, each child in her classroom received a warm coat. Margaret and her mother, Susan, collected donated coats from friends and family and neighbors. And the day that the children received their coats, something special happened. The children reacted with excitement and pride. They happily wore their coats home that day, but the next day, many of those coats were returned because the families couldn't believe anybody would give their child a coat. So Margaret put a note in the pocket that said, "This coat is your child's to keep. It's a gift from the community." Now, as I said before, there are not a lot of organizations that are focused on clothing insecurity. Why is that? I think we mistakenly believe that somebody's taking care of this. They're not. We have got to stop being blissfully unaware that there are millions of children in this country who need help with clothing and shoes. Weather conditions across the U.S. are drastically different. Seasons can be extremely hot or cold depending on the time of year, and clothing growing children is expensive. Teachers and social workers tell us that clothing insecurity negatively impacts their students' ability to be successful in school. Children suffer physically when their clothing and shoes are too tight. Improperly fitting shoes can cause long-term foot, leg, and back problems. We have chronic absenteeism. Children who lack sufficient clothing and outerwear often have to stay home. Those who fall too far behind never catch up. Children who wear second-rate clothing are often bullied or become bullies because they're in emotional pain. And all of these children are at a far greater risk of behavioral problems, depression, and even suicide. I've been a fan of the nonprofit Dress for Success for many years. The premise is when a woman in need is dressed for success, she is far better equipped to put her best foot forward at job interviews and with new employers. How is it that we can see the value of dressing women for success to advance their career opportunities, but we have yet to make the correlation that our children living in poverty would also benefit from the comfort and confidence that would come from being dressed for success in the classroom? To achieve this, we need more community programs where quality clothing and shoes that are no longer needed can be donated, where volunteers can sort and size items to be used to build mini wardrobes for children with dignity and love. It's being done, but in nowhere near the scale that it needs to be. This is something easy that we can do. But before we can scale the solution, we have to acknowledge the problem. And we do that by having conversations like these, where we raise awareness of the issue of clothing insecurity. And we also, what these children need you to do, is to donate to organizations that can get the clothing and shoes to the children who need them the most. A little girl named Christina hated school. Her mother dragged her to the school bus every morning. One day she received a package of clothes, and something inside her changed. She woke up the next day excited to go to school. She skipped to the bus. When she got to school, she made a friend who was good at math, and they began working together. Christina's math grade improved, as did her social skills and her enjoyment of school. A very quiet high school boy named Mike also hated school. Just didn't feel like school was for him. One day he received a mini wardrobe of clothes, and his mother was amazed by the transformation. She said she cried when she realized how tall he had gotten. She hadn't noticed because he never stood up straight. But the next day she watched him walking to school with his head held high, wearing his new clothes. When he got home, he said, "Mom, I'm going to be a chef." She said, "Where did that come from?" He said, "I don't know, but today was different." A young man became excited about a future career after receiving clothes that made him feel confident. Mike was lucky. Someone shared their armor. Now I'm hoping that all of you are asking yourself, what do I have at home in my closet that could help someone? Are there teenagers that are wearing my sizes? Do my children have quality clothing and shoes at home that they don't need, but another child does? I'm also hoping that some of you are curious. Is there someone in my community that is helping children with clothing insecurity? And if not, what can I do to help with that, so that every child in need has the ability to have that today was different moment that can change their entire future for the better? Now you know how you can change the world simply by cleaning out your closet. Thank you.